Hi, welcome to the Two Peas Podcast, where two very different people compare and contrast their top fives on a variety of topics. This week, Alex and I are diving into 2022 and picking our top 5 favorite moments from last year. We spend a lot of time together, so I'm wondering if any of his will be about us or maybe just specific to things he's done. So we'll find out.
We're back.
Yes, we are.
We're back. It's a new year.
Happy 2023.
Happy 2023, Steph.
I know. It's going to be a good year.
Is that how you... So when people wish you like happy holidays or happy 2023, you go, I know. You don't say
I just
happy...
say it back, but I said it first and then you said it back and then I don't know what to say.
So you know how people like, and when you're like interacting with people in public or whatever, people will say happy holidays or Merry Christmas or whatever it might be. Do you do that for the new year too? I'm asking you personally, like when it's the new year, like the first couple days, like after or before, like and say you're in the grocery line.
No, but I don't really say I don't tell people Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays when I'm out at the grocery store either.
Okay, that's fair. I do. Actually, I think I always respond with it. Like most people will say it first.
Yeah, that's the same. I don't like initiate it for, And
then if someone says like Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, I usually will just say same to you. I usually don't say.
Of course you do.
What, does that sound mean?
Sounds lazy.
Well, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Same to you.
Okay, well next year we'll get that better.
Lazy.
Well, it's crazy. 2022 has come and gone, in my opinion, really quickly. I guess
it did go pretty fast.
Yeah.
I was looking through memories, and it was like, oh, that was in February? Like, that was in January?
I know.
Like, it's been a year since then?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
A lot of things have happened, and that's why our topic this week, as you already know, is our top 5 favorite moments of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
We thought this would be a great way to kick off the new year/season of the Two Peas Podcast. Steph, where can people find us if they're just tuning in this year?
You can find us on Instagram and Twitter and at the Two Peas Pod. But also, we're moving to YouTube.
Yes, we are moving to YouTube. So we actually already have a YouTube channel. It's the Two Peas Podcast. You can look us up. So if you like to listen to your podcasts on YouTube, that will be available there for you there as well.
Okay, well, that was weird.
I'm rusty. It's been a little bit. We're back at it.
That was weird. No, you can't come up in here using that excuse. We all know that you've been cheating on me with Weston and you two have been recording, so don't come saying, I'm rusty.
You need to be careful. Like, you lead with your cheating on me with Weston. Instead of, you guys have a podcast together and it feels like you're cheating on me. I'm not doing any sort of cheating.
You're cheating on our podcast.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
Multiple people have multiple podcasts. I said that really fast.
With multiple people?
Point is, everybody, we appreciate you listening. And of course, if you're listening on here, like on Spotify, for example, we're also on Apple Podcasts, anywhere you want. One thing that goes a long way is ratings. Leave us a rating.
Yes, please.
If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave a review if you're on Apple in particular. Let us know what you think. Comment on YouTube. And this is a viewer-driven show. So if you have, and a fan-driven show. So if you have any particular top 5s you'd like for us to cover this year, tell us anywhere, whether it's on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever it's at. Let us know. We actually do these by what you say, and we'll give you a little shout out at the beginning. So definitely do that. This one is just our particular idea, so there's no shout out.
Yeah, shout out to us.
Now, usually we have a little anecdote to share before, but we thought since these are our top moments of 2022, they're all going to be anecdotes and things
stories
to share. So, and another element that we have too is usually a little educational element, but since these are just stories, we'll just be learning about each other today.
We're just having fun today.
We're just having fun, getting back into the New Year's spirit, even though like January is almost over at this point, but but that's okay. So who goes first? We'll just get into it.
Me?
You go first? I think you do. No, I go first.
Okay.
Because you did the introduction.
We'll go on then.
So I'm going to go, but I'm curious off the top if we're going to have any crossover
I'm sure we will.
moments.
I'm sure we will.
You think so?
Yeah. I left mine kind of vague. And
Yeah.
then, yeah. So, yeah, go ahead. Do your number 5.
Go ahead, Alex. Come on. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm like a little kid on a bike. Go ahead. Come on. Go ahead. My number 5 favorite moment of 2022 is the beach trip and what encompassed around the beach trip.
What encompassed around
I don't
the
even know if that
beach
made
trip.
sense, but
So I'm not sure what that means, but that's exciting to know that made your list.
So the beach trip is a trip that Steph and I both went on. We took a trip with some friends to Galveston, Texas, and it was a really nice time. And what I meant by there's other elements besides the trip itself that makes this a defining moment for me. So this would be our second year in a row going with the same group of friends to go to the beach. I'm usually not a beach person, but these have really opened my eyes up to enjoying the beach a lot. Honestly. And Steph...
That's good. We had to make him a tent out of sheets on the beach.
They had to make me a tent out of sheets because I'm so white and pasty and I'm a redhead, so I just burn so easily. So literally, the day one, I spent a lot of time out there.
But we were in the water a lot.
We were in the water a lot, and I had put on sunscreen literally every 90 minutes because I was burnt before, literally, and figuratively speaking, once a long time ago, from not putting on sunscreen. And then our good friend Heather, who's been on the podcast, she helped make it was her idea to make like a makeshift tent because we didn't have a tent. Or I think one of our friends did, but
it was for their little boy.
It was for their son, and it takes a lot of effort to take down and put up.
Can you imagine? They knew that it was up for him. Can you imagine, Alex, if you just walked hey, can I sit in the tent?
I mean, he would have been cool with it. He would have been, hey, what's up?
It's for their child.
But I needed one too. So anyway, but no, it was a lot of fun. But the things that came around it that are also important to me are two things. One was the car ride. I really enjoyed the car ride there and the car ride back. And shout out to Steph, who on the way there literally drove all the way. And from where we live, it was about, a
10 and a half,
almost 11-hour drive, and she did it.
Yeah.
And in your own words, you said, I just wanted to prove it to myself that I could do it. And I respect that completely, because I would have wanted to do the same thing.
Well, that's the longest. I've driven like 8 and a half, but not that like 10. So
yeah. My biggest is 14, and that was treacherous. Mm-hmm. That was rough. But you did it.
Yep.
And it was a great car ride. We went once again with our friend Heather in the car ride. We talked, we laughed. They started to get me into one of their books that they liked at the time, and we were listening to the audiobook. And I thought, whatever. And then I was into it.
He got super, super into it.
Yeah.
I was really like shocked that he was that interested.
It's a good story. And the third thing, you might think this is silly. This isn't the most important part, but it's an element. And it is, I brought my iPad. And I brought my iPad for really one reason, because I knew that I wasn't going to be out in the sun every day because I just couldn't literally handle it.
Yeah.
So I brought my iPad and I brought a controller. And because I have Game Pass, and Game Pass does cloud gaming. Mm-hmm. So one of my favorite games of 2022 came out, and it was called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. That game came out, and I was playing that, and I beat it on the trip.
Oh, I didn't know you beat it.
I lied. I didn't beat it. I beat it like right when I got back home.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was like. I didn't know.
I didn't beat it. I got really far, and I thought I was going to beat it, and I didn't. I'm sorry. You're right. But I played it a lot. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun discovering that game. It's in my top 5 favorite games of the year. It was just really great. We had a nice time. I made my world famous pizza bagels. Those were good. We all took turns making food. It was just really yummy, and everything was really fun.
You know, that was a fun trip. We had lots of fun times in the water, and it was nice sitting on that big porch and just like reading, which was. And you played your game, and I read.
But we did it outside, so like we were still out in the elements, and we stayed in a beach house, so like we were there at the beach.
Yeah, I feel like you did really well. I think you did almost better
Than you thought?
this year than the year before with like entertaining yourself, kind of like you had a plan. Because like I'm out there all day, every day. I want to be out there and in the sun and in the water. And then like you're not. So when we go to the beach, I only see you sometimes.
But it's okay.
We don't spend time together the whole day.
Because we literally can't, because I always would with you if I physically could.
I know.
You know what I mean?
So, yeah, but I think this year, though, like, you had that, and also, like, you and Heather made plans, too, to go in and watch her show.
We started watching the show together, yeah.
Yeah, so you knew what to expect more, I think, this time than the time before. So you kind of had a game plan. So
you almost sounded like a parent, like, well, he found a better way to entertain himself this year.
Well, you know what though? It feels sometimes like that. Like it's like, okay, I want to make sure, just like, you know how you feel.
Excuse me? Feel like you're taking care of a son?
But no, like, you know how when you like to, how you feel when you host, right? That's how I feel when we go on those trips. It's like, I have to make sure you feel comfortable, and I have to make sure, like, I want to make sure that you're not feeling left out, but you're feeling comfortable, but you're happy, and you're not doing anything that you really don't want to do. Because you'll do that just to not feel like you're being, I don't know, weird or something.
Sure.
So I wanted, it just was nice because you had a plan, and I didn't have to worry about, okay, is he happy? Is he bored? Is he whatever?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, okay, he's doing his thing, so he's good.
He's good. Now mom's going to go take care of mom stuff.
Now I can go just lay out on the beach.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that was a fun trip.
That was fun. You're up. I'm done for number 5.
All right. My number 5 was, well, it is when I went with my mom to pick up Rosie.
So who's Rosie?
So Rosie is a little Aussie doodle that my mom got in July. So we drove an hour and a half to pick her up. She's yeah.
Then it was that far away.
Yeah. She's a cute little Aussie doodle, and she's
she is.
Merrill blue. Is that how you say it? But anyway, she's all splotchety, and she's just so cute.
I'm usually not. So she's in between a small dog and a medium-sized dog. Like she's in between those two.
Well, she's still a puppy, though. I mean, now she's 7-8 months old, so they can still grow up to a year.
Okay.
Yeah, so she'll probably get a little taller, but yeah, she'll stay in between. She's probably going to be like 20-25 pounds.
So, and I bring that up just as a quick anecdote. Like usually, I'm not into little dogs, right? And once again, she's bigger than a little dog, but she won me over. She's a sweet dog. She's a lot of work.
Yeah,
and I think your mom in particular is learning that, but she's doing a great job training her. And I think it's going to pay off in the end. But she's a really sweet dog. If you're unfamiliar with what that dog looks like, look it up. An Aussie Doodle?
Aussie Doodle. So it's an Australian Shepherd and a Poodle. And she has the Poodle hair, but the Australian Shepherd color. And her face is a Poodle face, like her nose. You know how Poodles have like long noses? But her tail is an Australian Shepherd tail because she has like a little bobtail. Mm-hmm. So her little butt looks like a little panda butt.
It looks like a little nub.
Panda butt is so cute.
That little tail, like it looks like it's supposed to be there, but it was just chopped off. It's just like a little nub.
She's so cute. So anyway, cute. She's very, very sweet. She has a lot of energy, but but she's very sweet. But I loved that because we drove together. You know, my mom's gone back and forth about getting a dog. You know, for probably several years.
It's been years.
And she saw this dog pop up from like one of there's a breeder locally or whatever, and it popped up on her Facebook, and she's like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. And she just fell in love with her around 4th of July. And so then we had for several days, you know, conversations. Oh, should I do it? Should I do it? You know, do I have time? Do I have the space? You know, right. And she decided, she was going to do it. So we went together to pick her up, and you know, I drove so she could hold her. So she held her on the way back.
That's good.
And she was just so, so sweet. But when we got back, I told Mom, because she doesn't post a lot on Facebook or anything. And I was like, this is like a big moment. You need to like post something. So I got, you know, most of you know I do photography on the side. So I have my camera and my, you know, lens, my nice lens. And anyway, I went out there and like took, you know, photos of her like holding Rosie and stuff. So she posted some of those to Facebook. And Anyway, the whole thing was just really fun. So.
She's a sweet dog.
She is sweet. We went yesterday. We took her for a walk.
Yeah,
and she was so good yesterday.
What?
And today. She's been so good. We went on a really long walk. How long were we walking? An hour and a half?
It was an hour to hour and a half. Yeah, in between there. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, she's been so good. So she just has so much energy. So when you don't walk her or you don't whatever, she gets bad. But it's hard.
And by bad, what we really mean is just like she's just uncontrollable at that point. Like anything you tell her, like any training you've given her goes out the window for that next 20 minutes. She just won't listen.
She's not biting hard, but she'll put her mouth on your hand and act like she's going to bite you.
Yeah.
So
she's a cutie though. She's definitely grown on me more than any smaller dog ever has. So I hope you know that.
That's good.
So, I mean, honestly, like
I'm glad.
That's a milestone for me as someone who's much more of a cat person.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that I do have a relationship with that dog, I really appreciate, and I like that.
Yeah, you got excited yesterday when you got there and you were like, "Oh, she recognizes me."
Yeah, because she wasn't like when I
she didn't bark or anything.
Because when I would first come over, those first 3 or 4, maybe 5 times, I'd come over and it would just be ridiculous. She would bark or she'd jump and she'd do this and do that. This time she was just, "Hey," and she's shaking her tail. You can't see me, but I'm just like doing like a little tail wag. It was just, I loved it.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I remember you."
Well, she's getting good greeting you too, where she'll jump on you, but then as soon as you look at her, I think she'll sit and then you pet her. So she's doing better with that stuff. We're trying to teach her. She jumps so high, so we're trying to teach her not to jump.
Sure.
Like that. So anyway, okay. What's your number 4?
Good 2022 so far. So far, no crossover. So
we've only done one.
I'm just saying there's no crossover yet. All right. I'm not mad. I'm just making a comment. All right. My number 4. This is kind of a cheat. So my number 4 is a few social visits I want to briefly touch on. Okay.
Oh, briefly discuss.
Briefly discuss. This would be 2 different social visits. Okay. Number 1, and my number 4 would be when our good friend Weston came to town. So Weston, Magic Man Mo, as you know him online probably, or Weston Hasty. He goes by both names, my good friend.
Also the other podcasty.
Yes, that's kind of part of this too, is starting Profoundish.
Podcast.
The other podcasty. But no, Weston is a really good friend of mine. We actually talked about this in our own podcast, Profoundish, already, but him and I have been friends for years, and we really reacquainted about 2 years ago. Because after I moved, we just kind of lost touch a little bit. So anyway, we rekindled that friendship, and in my opinion, it's stronger than ever. And I really do appreciate his friendship.
I wonder what his opinion is.
And it would be the same, right, Weston? Because I know he's listening. And, well, who knows? He'd say, God, he's just using me for a podcast is all he's doing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just here to get more subscribers.
That's all he's trying to do. Well, he would do that. I do know, if I know Weston. But anyway, so ever since we kind of rekindled our friendship, I was always trying to get him to come down and visit. So come down and visit Memphis. You know, we can hang out for a bit, I can show you the city, we can just spend quality time together that's more than just like a 5-hour visit when I go up to Illinois, you know? And if I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, it's hard to get Weston to commit to stuff. And I've told him this to his face too. It's like it can be hard to get commitment sometimes, like for a big trip like that.
Well, sometimes it's hard to commit.
Understood. Totally understood. And I told him, I hope you know I'm going to pester you about this again and again and again until you finally come down. My door is open. You don't have to pay anywhere to stay. It's about 6.5, 7 hours from him. It's a little bit longer than it is to get to where I'm originally from. Not too long, though. You can come down and stay for like a long weekend. And while we were on our beach trip, weird connection, he texted me and said, you know what? I'm coming. Here's when I'm free. And I was like, okay, I can make that work. Let's make it work. And he came down, and it was a really great time. And the reason why it became a defining moment for me in 2022, like in particular, was not because we were already rekindled in our friendship, but that's when I realized, because our first night, we stayed up almost all night, drinking and talking and just having a good time, just 2 friends. And that's when I had the idea of, hey, let's do a podcast. Honestly. And so when he got back home, it's like, we can talk about anything forever, just like you and I can. Why don't we just do a podcast? So that's the second part of that, is that also starting Profoundish.
Which is a really, I know I give you a hard time, but it is a really good podcast. I do listen to it.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you.
You two we do a great job.
Check that out anywhere, Profoundish, on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We post everything everywhere.
It's a fun podcast.
So check that out if you want to learn more about that. The other trip I want to make mention of for my number 4, another social visit, is my guys' trip with my good friends Hayden and Nick. I'm sure they won't mind the shout-outs. Hayden and Nick, love you guys. That was really fun. My friend Nick lives in the same state, but he lives on the opposite end of the state. So Tennessee's a long state. So it took a long drive, but we both got there. And I think why this was, we do this every year. We do a yearly get-together. We've been doing it for, I thought it was almost a decade, but my numbers are off. It was like, I think this is like our 7th year, 2022 was. And we always try to go to somebody else's house. One year it's mine, one year it's Hayden's, one year it's Nick's. Well, this year it was Nick's, because Nick has recently purchased his own home. So we had our own space, and it was really great. And we did all kinds of stuff. And it was like a week-long trip. So I actually had almost a full week of just decompressing from all the stresses of life into spending time with my friends, going to do a lot of fun things. And it was great. It was just such a great experience. We had such a fun time. It was one of my favorite. We all agreed. We even talked about it. As friends, we do what you and I do. So Steph and I will like constantly, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but we'll always assess our relationship and like discuss it and talk about it to each other. And we do that too as friends. We're like, this is by far the best friend trip. I felt like we did this really well. We did this really well. We do a similar thing. So if you guys are listening, thank you. That was a really fun time too. So anyway, that's my number 4, that visit.
Yeah. I think you had, the only part of Weston coming that I was involved in was we went to Huey's.
And we got together afterwards.
And, he was really nice because he took my side on something when we were at Huey's. I don't remember what it was. You said something to
I'm
me,
sure I said something that sounded mean.
Bad. But you didn't mean it that way anyway. But because you're like, no, that's not what I meant. But I mean, everybody was joking, giving you a hard time anyway. But Weston took my side. So anyway.
I like that you and Weston have become really good friends. He's probably, out of my friends, one of the closest friends with you.
Weston. And I don't know if it's like, I feel like Weston's like really intelligent. And I'm not saying that like you're not intelligent, but I just feel like didn't he do some engineering at first or something in school?
Mm-hmm. Originally, that's what he was studying.
Maybe that's why we like connect so well. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
there's something about Weston though that it's like we can have discussions that I feel like I can't have with a lot of other people, like at that level. I don't know. And it sounds like I'm so smart. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of connection than I have with like your other friends. That's all I mean.
Well, I think that's the same reason why this has become almost like a Weston gush a little bit. But I think it's the same reason why he's, out of all the friends that I've had over the years, he's been one of the few that stood the test of time with me. And I think it's because when you talk to him, there are a lot of thought-provoking conversations. Yeah. Plus, him and I just have a lot of common interests anyway. But yeah, you can really just talk with him. And he's very warming. I remember the first thing you said about him.
I love his voice.
When you first met him, you said you love his voice. He does not understand that at all.
He has a very calming voice.
So if you like it, listen to Profoundish.
He has a very calming voice, really. But also your guys' trip, I know you had a lot of fun on that. So yeah. That's all I have to say about your number 4.
Okay.
My number 4. And I kind of did the same thing that you did, was I kind of grouped a bunch of things into one.
Sure.
But it was all of my trips I took. So it's similar to yours.
Yeah, perfect.
To see friends. So I did a lot of traveling in 2022. Some for work and some for really only one thing for work, and then other things for friends. But I visited my friend Mary Margaret in Nashville.
Oh yeah.
In May, which was a lot of fun, and I I've never actually, I've driven through Nashville, but I've never been like to Nashville.
Which is so funny because she only lives, we both only live a couple hours away.
Yeah.
So it's so funny.
Yeah.
To
So
me.
I don't
But
know,
anyway.
but I just never have. And so I stayed with her and we did a lot of fun things. Like, we worked out. We went to, I guess it's called Broadway, is that street.
Yes.
And we walked around and I got a pair of shorts that were really cute. I didn't think I was going to buy anything, but I did. We walked around down like in Nashville, and then we went to like this really cool winery, and we weren't supposed to bring food, but we snuck it in anyway.
So bad.
I know.
That's so bad.
I know, but it's fine. Oh no, it was we could bring food, but we couldn't bring in wine, but because you have to buy it there, but we brought it anyway. But we went to Trader Joe's first and got like a bunch of snack stuff, and then put it in a cooler and went there. And she just started her own like photography business in Nashville. Well, I say she started it like after I left, but while we were there, I have 2 cameras and I brought them both and I gave her one and she like played around with it, and because she wanted to start a business, start a little side hustle like I have. And so I was teaching her how to shoot manual, and so we took some pictures of each other at the vineyard and played around with it, and so now she's like very, very successful. So if you're in Nashville, it's Mary Margaret Photography.
Yeah,
so
check her out. She's got
really,
social media everywhere.
She's really great. Yeah. She does a great job.
Yep.
Okay, so that was Nashville. Anyway, I was talking about her the whole time. And then I visited. We did the beach trip, so we saw friends at the beach trip. And then I went to Colorado. Ooh, when was that? I don't remember.
That
what
was in
month
October.
That was in October.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I went to Colorado to visit my friend Casey. And so she just bought a house there, and so I stayed with her, and that was a lot of fun. We went to a horse race. I met her boyfriend and saw her family again, which was really nice.
You had a really nice time there.
Yeah,
you told me about that.
Yeah,
a lot.
we did some shopping and we took like some walks, which was really fun. And we went downtown a little bit, and we went to the mall. Like they literally have red carpets in this mall. Like I couldn't afford anything. But we went there. And also I've never played softball before in my life. But she's on like a community like softball league or whatever, and there's never enough people. Like they never show up. And so she's like, "Would you fill in?" And I'm like, do you really want me to? Like, I don't know. She's like, yeah. So she taught me how to hit and how to catch and throw and stuff. And so anyway, I played like half an inning before the game got rained out.
The amount of money that I would have paid just to see you play a half an inning of softball.
I hit some balls, so.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Did you pitch at all?
No.
That's what I was picturing you doing, like the underarm throw that they all do.
No, I wasn't pitching. But I was catching. I was standing behind the hitter.
You were catching.
Yeah, like behind the hitter.
Oh, jeez, I would hate that job.
Well, it wasn't bad, but then like when she was teaching me, I held the bat and like hit some stuff. So
good for you. Better than what I could have done. Guarantee it.
I don't know. So it was a lot of fun. It was really nice just to hang out with her and have that time, because we haven't really we've seen each other a little bit, but it's only been for quick weekends since college. Yeah. So this was a little longer, which is like almost a full week.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And then I went to Texas, to Dallas, Fort Worth area to visit Ashley, my friend Ashley and Misha.
Oh yeah, you did that. You did that around the same.
No, that was in.
No, around the same time I took my trip.
Yeah, that was when
to East Tennessee.
That must have been early November or something. I think that was when you were. That was the same time you were with. That was early November.
Because we tried to kind of plan it like if it worked out, do it at the same time.
Yeah. So you were with Nick and Hayden when I was with Ashley and Misha. So
that's right.
Yeah. So I visited them in Texas, which was a lot of fun. We went to Magnolia. And as we were driving back, there was a tornado that crossed over that interstate we were on.
Great.
We didn't see it, but it crossed over in front of wherever we were driving. And then also I taught like a macrame class while we were there for her neighborhood.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm, that was fun.
She's really good at macrame. I don't know if she'll tell you that, but she's really good at it.
Oh, thank you. I kind of want to start a little Etsy store, so we'll see.
2023. It's
I
your
don't know.
year.
I thought of a really good name for it. I'm not going to announce it yet, but I thought of a really cute name. So anyway, we'll see.
Oh, now I want to know it. You got to tell me after this is over.
I don't know.
What? Okay, you can tell me. Come on, you got to tell me.
I might wait to announce it to you.
All right.
So we went to a plant store. Oh, and we went to this restaurant where all they have are souffles.
Her eyes literally grew 4 times in size.
Oh, it was so good.
Oh!
Souffles. You had dinner, like lunch souffles, and then you had dessert souffles. Oh, it was so good. I've never had a souffle before. It was delicious. So anyway, we hung out and we watched a lot of Love is Blind. We did some baking and stuff. I don't know, it was fun.
Sounds like a good trip.
Ashley and I always have a lot of fun talking and stuff. So we had a lot of like quality time there. But yeah. So I think that covers most of the trip. I did one more trip to Texas, but it was for work last year.
Between the two of us, you did more traveling than I did. I
did. Well, I had a lot of friends that I needed to. I feel really bad because I always tell my friends, like, I'll come visit you, I'll come see you. And then I never do.
Yeah, sure.
Just like I can't commit to it. It's hard.
Well, it's kind of similar to my thing with Western.
Yeah,
Similar thing.
This year, or last year, I guess, was the year of committing to that.
Yeah.
So I just knocked everything out.
What a great commitment.
In the year.
And there was a couple times where you were a little stressed, not because of going to see anybody, but because of just, there's a lot of things happening. But every time you'd come back from a trip, you're like, I'm so glad I went on that trip.
Yeah, it was always so nice. Well, and I didn't visit. So my friend Taylor was here, but she just took a job in California, like a temporary job in California. Yeah. So I'm going to go visit her in February. So that's one more trip that's kind of like
that's okay
coming into 2023. Well, so
and you can do more trips this year. Who says you can't? Right?
I know. So anyway, I'm excited.
Each friend you've mentioned, I've at least met once.
You haven't met Moira, and I'd like to go visit. She's in Huntsville. I'd like to go visit her maybe this year.
Well, quick shout out to Ashley and Misha, of course. They're great friends. They're always fun to hang out with. And then Mary Margaret's great too. I actually recorded some music for her a couple of years ago because she's also a singer. So that was really fun.
And you've met Casey.
And I met Casey briefly. I don't know much about her, but she seems very sweet, and I'll be seeing her again soon.
Yeah,
so
in
I'm
April, we're going to go do some stuff in the snow.
We're just giving all of our plans just on the podcast. Yeah, so I guess my number 3.
Yeah.
My number 3 is a social event / discovery. Okay. So my number 3 is the hiking trip with my dad and stepmom.
Oh.
With you. So last Christmas, the Christmas of 2021, I was talking to my dad on the phone, and he said, our gift to you this year, like we recently discovered this place we like to hike at. This place is in southern Illinois. So because of the location of it, that's in between them and us. It's actually it's almost, we both drive almost the same amount.
Yeah, like 4 hours
3.5, 4 hours. And anyway, there's this place that we recently discovered that we like to go hike at, and we'd like for you to come with us. Our gift to you is you don't have to pay a dime. Come stay in this nice little cabin in the woods with us. And it was really cool. It was like built into the ground. It was kind of cool.
It was really cool. There was no cell service.
And so that's telling of how, it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but it's so cool. And it was such a fun gift, technically, and such a fun time.
It was. It really was.
It was just great. It was just the 4 of us, him, my stepmom, and then the 2 of us. And we just hiked. And I mentioned discovery. I said discovery at first because that's when I discovered that. So as everybody probably knows, if you recall, or if you're just listening and you don't know who I am, I got in a mountain biking accident back at the end of 2021. And after that, I kind of swore off mountain biking. But I loved being out in the elements like that, like in a similar vein. So going on this trip, this was in May of 2022, if I recall correctly, is when I discovered that this is what we can do. This is our thing. Steph also likes it overall better, too, than she ever liked mountain biking, too. That's your words.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine. And I love it, too. So her and I have since taken we've just one other main hiking trip in 2022. But it was a big one, and it was up a mountain, which was cool. And I love it. And my discovery is that this is what I want to continue to do. And that's one of the things I want to do more in 2023 is more hiking. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we had a great time, middle of nowhere. we went to this really cool. So it's in the middle of nowhere, but like, remember we went to eat, and there was this couple. Like, we stayed in this place. I don't know if the couple owns it or if it's totally separate.
Well, they don't do that anymore.
They don't anymore.
Yeah.
Probably because it probably wasn't, if I were to guess, fruitful enough for them.
No, probably not.
But I love this idea. It was a very small, only a couple seats, and it was this couple, and they would cook food. And it was like a restaurant, but it was like very personal. They would cook for you, and they'd chat with you while they cooked. Like, you were there in the kitchen with them. Like, the kitchen was right there, right? Yeah. But it was like really good food. And it was just fun chatting with them, learning where they were from, because they weren't from there either. Like, and we all kind of talked about that. I think if I recall, they were from where my dad is from, which is Michigan. And it was just great. And you discovered another discovery. You discovered your favorite, like, mixed drink. If you if you needed one just to order, it would be a Cosmopolitan.
Yeah, I don't know why your dad thought of that. He's like, have you ever had a Cosmo? I was like, no. He's like, oh, we'll get one.
And Steph, she did the I always say this, but like the Disney princess eyes get really big. Ooh! And she loved it.
It was good.
Yeah, she's had it quite a few times since when we like celebrate, have a drink or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, that was just a great trip with them. I felt like we all connected really well too. Like, we all had a strong connection there, and we just enjoyed hiking a lot.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't know if you had anything to say or
well,
not.
I'll go ahead and say my number 3 is the 2 hiking trips that we did.
Awesome. That's great.
So
Same number. Wow.
So you already talked a lot about that one for Southern Illinois. The only thing I want to add is that I felt so bad because this was like our Christmas gift. And I had worked the night before.
Oh, yeah.
I was deadlifting, and I upped my my weight or whatever. And the first rep was good. So I did the second one, and the second one I pulled something in my back. So anyway, I had like one of those TENS, like electronic things on my back. Like, I had a heating, ice. I had a heating blanket thing, and like a lot of that BioFreeze or Tiger Balm or whatever. Oh my gosh, I couldn't stand up straight, right? So I was like, oh no, like, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
And it hurt. I mean, it hurt. I don't think I told you. It hurt really bad.
You were a trooper, though.
It hurt really bad. But we got there, and like, I had to literally like put my like back, like lower back against the wall, and then like work my way to stand up straight so I could have my full back on the wall to stand up straight. And then I had to like, I don't know, tense up my like core muscles to be able to hold me there. But then over like the course of like 10 minutes, I'd slowly start like hunching again because it hurt so bad.
Sure.
Anyway, it hurt all the way from like my lower back all the way up into my neck. Like, it hurt. I don't know.
You hurt yourself really bad.
Yeah. But anyway, I went and we told them, and I was like, I'm so sorry, but I've hurt my back, but I'm fine. It'll be fine.
Well, yeah. My dad is a retired chiropractor, and he, I remember he like adjusted you. That was like your first adjustment that you've gotten like that.
It helped a little bit.
I mean, that was a big injury.
It was
or
more
a thing that you did. But.
It was more about muscle, I think, not so much about alignment.
But I just thought it was so funny. It's like, all right, well, you're here. Might as well do this.
Might as well try.
Right.
So anyway, but I did it. The first day we hiked, I think 2 days. 2 days.
3 days technically,
3 days.
But 2 basically full days.
The first full day was a little bit challenging, but I think we did something that was a little easier, and we didn't like hike quite so long. So that was good. And then like I did my stuff that night, taking care of my back. And the next day it still hurt a little bit, but it was way more manageable, and I could definitely do it. I just had to be careful how I stepped too. Like,
sure.
But it was so much fun though. And I actually,
great trip.
Like, I was really proud of myself for pushing through though, because
we all are. You did great.
Such a great trip, and I would not have wanted to miss it. So the other trip we did, which you didn't really talk about, was the hiking trip to Little Rock. And we ate at this really fun breakfast place. It was like all local food, and we both got egg salad sandwiches.
It's not what you think.
It was delicious.
It was so good.
It was so good. We sat outside, and they had like random like outdoor furniture, and you sat outside. Anyway, it was fun. And then we went to Pinnacle. What was it called?
Pinnacle Mountain.
Pinnacles Mountain.
Pinnacle Mountain.
Pinnacle Mountain. We went there and we hiked to. There's 2 peaks and we did both.
Yeah.
But it's really one path, and then just towards the top it splits. So we went back and then did the other one.
Well, there are 2 trails. You can do the West Summit Trail or you can do the East Summit Trail.
Oh.
And we did the West Summit because that was like the one that really went up the mountain.
Yeah.
And then what you're talking about is that there's a more friendly way to go, and then there's a little more rough way to go.
But no, there were 2 peaks.
Or maybe that's what the East Summit Trail was then, is the other peak.
Yeah, but we went to both off of that one trail, remember? Because we went to the one that was highest, and then we went back like a little bit and went to the other one.
Yeah, we're saying 2 different things.
Yeah.
There's a completely different trail on a completely like side part of that mountain.
Yeah, yes, that's fine. But I'm saying we took one trail, but it could lead you to 2 peaks. That's what I'm saying.
What I was saying, though, prior was that before that, I don't know if you're going to touch upon it or not, because I think you should, the trip up, that splits before. So like and then remember there was a way you can go where it was a little bit easier than the way that was rougher.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to tell anything about that.
Yeah, I was. I was going to say this particular part. So I wanted to say first, though, what I really liked about it was when we got to the top, just how high it was and the view. Mm-hmm. And we took some pictures and stuff. It was amazing. And then like just being in nature and like hiking up a mountain was just really cool. But there was a part that was more difficult, and like you had to like walk. There were just these huge boulders, and it was almost like there was a rock slide, and they're just like on the side of the mountain, and you had to literally climb over them. And there were like little holes you could get your foot stuck in, and like
you could get hurt. Yeah,
you
definitely
could. And there were sharp rocks and stuff, and you just climbed over them. Like literally, you're on all fours, like climbing.
Right.
Not straight up, okay, but you're still on all fours because it's still slanted, and not all the rocks are super stable, so you're still like grabbing onto stuff. But one of my favorite things was when, and you know what I'm going to say because I say it all the time. I make fun of you for it all the time. But we were climbing up, and I turned around. We were on that dangerous rock part. And I turned around and looked, and I told Alex, I was like, look how high we are. And he turned around. And he was like, oh, we're really high.
No, I'm a little bit afraid of heights.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And then we went a couple more like steps high. And he goes, all of a sudden, it's like he got really frustrated. He was like,
because I got scared.
He was like, oh my gosh, the sun is just too hot. It's burning my skin. And
like everything was falling apart.
You're okay. You're all right.
That was just me getting scared. I just didn't know how to handle it.
Well, yeah, you were clearly worried about the height, but then it turned into the sun burning your skin.
But it was only because I was scared about the height.
Yeah,
the sun I wasn't burning at all.
You were fine. Like it was kind of cloudy. Like you were okay. Yeah. So anyway, that was one of my favorite things though, because I turned around and he was like, "The sun's burning me."
The thing is,
you're
is
all
that,
right.
And I remember feeling trapped. Like I'm either gonna have to go back down and still do this, or go up. Like there's no way just to bye and just poof out of nowhere.
Yeah,
So we went up to the top and it was worth it, and everything was fine. And then you didn't have as funny of a moment, but then you had kind of a scared moment where we had to stop for a couple minutes on the way back down.
Yeah, because looking down that slope, it made me dizzy.
It's so weird because for me, it was like, okay, whatever. So I made her a little makeshift pillow, and I just kind of laid down for a second, like it was like on a rock or something. She just laid down. One thing that was comforting, though, that did ease some of that for me going up was you could tell that there were regulars there that would just do it all the time. Like there's people running up those rocks.
Oh, yeah.
And I wish you could see it because it does not look like you should run up those rocks.
Honestly, I don't think they really should have been doing that.
But it looks like they're doing their morning routine. That scares me. That's the risk you take.
Yeah. But then afterwards we came down and then we went and we got those tacos, and they were this
the food there was really good in Little Rock.
Tacos.
Yeah. Cool little town. It was fun. Walked around downtown for a second. Actually, I think that was Midtown, but it was cool. I'm glad you brought that up because I just really touched on it on my number 3. I didn't really talk about it. So if the first trip didn't really solidify that we enjoy hiking, it had to have been the second trip. That was so much fun.
Well, the second, I think it solidified it a little bit more for me just because my back wasn't hurting.
Yeah, so you could experience it as a normal human without
I
pain.
loved hiking. I loved hiking for the trip we took with your dad. But it was a little different. It was a little bit of a different experience in Little Rock just because.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
My number 2 is a very quaint moment and a very small. It's going to seem to you, the listener, it's going to seem like a small moment, but to me, it's kind of big. It's a big moment for me. And for us, I'll even say, since we're there. My number 2 favorite moment of 2022 is when we started watching our show together.
Yeah.
I know it sounds silly, but let me paint a small picture before this. So Steph and I, unlike most couples, don't really watch shows together. Overall, we just don't do that.
Yeah, we usually have other things to do.
We have other things to do or other things that we'd like to do. She watches a lot of shows on her own, and I don't really watch shows anyway, except when I'm with her. So, but anyway, I don't know if you remember how this started. I don't know if it was just like the need to, we had something to eat and just wanted to watch a show. Like, I don't know. But I just remember we had dinner one night and we sat down and we started, and you've seen a season of the show before. The show is Married at First Sight. So it's been on for quite a few years now. And I'm not really into reality shows, but I got hooked with this show with her. And then I thought, this can be a show that we both really enjoy.
Oh, I mean, I do like it, okay? But you loved it. Like, he would be like, are you coming over? Can we watch a show?
Okay, you can say that all you want, but you really were starting to get into it with me, too. It's like, I love watching our show together.
I know, I said I love it.
And for me, I don't want to watch it by myself. It's about doing it with you. And anyway, so now we're on to another season. We're enjoying that. We're watching through it. And that's kind of become like a staple in our relationship now. A little comfort staple is the show.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds silly. Like, we've been together for 3 years. We've never had a show that we watch together. But I'm glad that we do now. And it's just a fun little common ground that we have together that we always watch. And
yeah,
it's just really fun. That moment's really special to me in our relationship.
That made your list.
It's number 2.
Yeah.
That's
sweet. That is fun. I do like the show. I think it's cute how excited you get about it, because it doesn't seem like a show you would like at all.
You know, something about these reality shows that just get you. I'm thinking, I cannot believe these 2 people signed up to get married at first sight. And then they're complaining about it. Well, you signed up for it, you son of a gun.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting into.
That's not a show that we both are quiet while we watch. It's like we're having constant discussions and saying comments and saying
That's why
things.
It's so great.
Yeah.
It's just something very surface level kind of show that you and I can just agree on and just talk about. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I love it too. My number 2 is our anniversary dinner.
At first, it seems like that's such a deeper thing compared to our show, but
no, I mean, I
love it. I mean, that was a great dinner.
We always have good anniversary dinners and stuff, but we went to Coastal Fish, which is a place here at Shelby Farms Park, and I don't know. We sat outside and it was getting dark, and we both dressed up, and there's a lake at this park, and the restaurant is like right on the lake, and so you sit outside, and like our view, we were looking out at the lake, and we both I got a Cosmo, and I think you got an old fashioned.
No, I just got
whiskey,
just one of the like house whiskeys they have.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know the difference.
Okay, I lied. It wasn't a house whiskey, but it was some nicer whiskey that I usually wouldn't get.
Yeah,
and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then we got our food and we ate, and I just feel like it's not like we didn't have any like super deep conversations or anything. But it was just one of those nights where just everything just felt nice.
It was probably my favorite anniversary dinner we've ever had.
I think so too.
Like, and specifically anniversary dinner.
Yeah, I think so too. It was just really nice. Like it
was wonderful.
I don't know. Everything was really good. So that was that's what I don't know how to. It's emotion, right? So I don't know how to explain it, but it just it just felt really like one of those moments where you're like, this is a happy moment. It just felt that way.
You looked beautiful.
Well, thank you. You looked very nice too.
Thank you.
So
we took a couple of good pictures too. Some of my favorite pictures of us now. In fact, she gave me an extra copy of one of those pictures. I put it on my mantle already in my house.
I had some printed. So, yep. Yeah.
The food was great too. Mm.
Yeah.
What'd you get? Do you remember what you got that night?
Crab cakes.
Yum.
You got a steak, I think.
Of course I did. Steak and bourbon. Yum.
Yeah.
She's looking at me like, because she knows how I like my steak.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's time for my number one.
Yeah.
First of all, do you have any guesses on what you think this is going to be? Now that we've covered basically the ones that I think that we'd have a mutual thing on, do you have any ideas?
I mean, there's so many things it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a.
I'll give you one hint if you want to guess.
I don't need a hint.
Oh, okay.
I already have secured my answer.
Okay. Do you want to guess it?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
I think it might be when we were working on one of your songs for your album, and we made that. Oh, it's not.
Oh, that's so sweet. Technically, Steph is one of the producers on my upcoming album, Songs from Sangamon Street.
No, I'm
Check
not.
that out.
No, I'm not.
You are.
There was one song though that like you asked for my advice on, and I like gave it to you, but you really, but it was different. I think it was different than what you had thought it would be,
Yeah.
and then you did it, and we loved it.
And it worked, and it clicked. It's for Breadcrumbs and Vaseline.
Yeah,
which
but that's
is
not it. Oh,
No.
that was such a good moment.
That was a great moment. There's album stuff in my honorable mentions, but I guess I'll tell you. So my number one is, the reason why it's my number one is because it's going to lead to bigger picture stuff. And sorry, I'm getting emotional.
No, you're just burping.
I get burpy. That's when I say I get. If I ever say I'm getting emotional, I'm just getting burpy, and I'm trying to block the burps.
I know, but it's like, why are you getting emotional? You know, because people don't know that. And
I
they're
know,
like,
but
why
it's
are
like,
you getting emotional?
it's
You
my
say
thing.
it, and it makes no sense.
It's my thing.
But whatever.
My number one happened in the summer, and it kind of happened out of the blue. But one thing I kind of wanted to get going, just to see what would it be like, was to get some freelance work started. Or kind of restarted. I've done some in the past, but I wanted to get it going again. And it was just a right place, right time moment in the summer. And I got a gig doing a video game soundtrack. And now some of you may be thinking, okay, that's cool. But for me, it's a strange, it's like the perfect combination of music and video games, which are two things I love almost equally, right? So I was hired to do this job, and it was for a small developer. The game I don't think it's out yet, but you can look it up. It's called Ninja Akio, Akio. Just a smaller game, but it's a fun little ninja stealth assassin game. I'm excited to get my hands on it when it comes out, but I did the music for it.
You did a really great job.
And yeah, I was showing Steph the soundtrack as I was going through it and writing it, and that made me realize something. Well, let me say this too. I also, at the same exact time, it's just weird how things work, how timing works. Somebody that I connected with a couple years ago had a podcast, and it's a horror podcast, horror movie podcast. And he reached out and he was rebranding the podcast and wanted music for it. And that podcast is called Senseless Horror. So definitely check that out. If you're into horror movies, what that basically is he reviews he reviews horror movies, but his shtick in the show is he rewrites parts of the plot to make it make sense, because so many horror movie plots kind of fall through just for the sake of trying to be scary, and he rewrites the plots, and he kind of acts them out, too, and reads the script. It's really cool. So it's called the Senseless Horror Podcast. I did the music for that, too. So these two opportunities came about pretty quickly around this. It was close to the same time. And it was kind of stressing me out, because it was like at the same exact time, and I had
Your
my
real
YouTube,
job.
and I had my day job, all these things. But it got me thinking. After doing those two jobs, I thought, I think this is something I would really like to do. And what that did is that kicked off my goal, my 5-year plan to be my own boss in 5 years, which would mean doing that sort of work. So whether it's music for a podcast, video game soundtrack, video editing, audio design, there's a lot of things that I do. And 2023 is my first year to really kind of kick that off. And I'm really excited. That kind of led me to realize I can do this. I can do this. And that's why that was my personal number one moment of 2022, because that made me realize, I think, where I want my future to go. Take my time back, have my own time again, be my own boss, and just make a living doing what I love. And that's going to be the way to do it.
Yeah. And I'm so proud of you for that work. And creating your goals and working towards them.
It's exciting having the direction. I always said I want to make a living somewhere in the audio video space. I don't care how. That's kind of what I always said, but now I have more of a specific idea in mind, and that's going to be a big push this year, and I'm really excited about that.
I'm excited too.
So anyway, check out that game, Ninja Akayo.
Yeah, you did a really, really great job.
I'm going to talk to him to see if I can get that soundtrack out on like Spotify and stuff too.
I know you were going to do that. You have to just, it's about time, yeah. It's about time to reach out.
We have to wait for the game to come out.
Well, it's coming out this month.
Well, it was supposed to come out in December, but it didn't, so I don't know what his delays are.
Oh, well, you should reach out.
But I'll find out.
You should reach out. That's a really good number one.
Thank you.
That's a really impactful number one. My number one will not seem as impactful.
Let me guess. It's when you discovered bubble tea.
No. That should have been on there, but no.
That's her number 0. She loves it so much.
Yeah. No, my number one is, so my mom and I did some baking classes, at Muddy's Bake Shop in Memphis, and it's one of the best like bakeries ever. But we did a couple of classes throughout the year, and I just love it. I love it all so much.
Oh, wow.
That's my number one. It's so much fun. You go in and they give you, you have the recipe, and like they teach you about like leaveners and acid stuff, that's in the
acid trips.
No, that's in the like the food or the baked goods or whatever, and like you combine a leavener with this, and this is why this happens and whatever. So you learn a lot of the chemistry too of baking, and like why this happens when you put this in there and not this, and why when you substitute this, maybe your cookies are flatter or whatever. But we did one where we made chocolate chip cookie sandwiches, and we did sprinkle cookies, and then we did another one that was biscuits. So we did a savory biscuit and then like the buttermilk biscuits. So it was just so fun, and it was really fun to get to do with my mom. And then we both had tons of stuff to take. So I brought you, Alex, a lot of things from that.
Mm-hmm. They were good.
But I don't know. It's just a really fun experience, and I love Muddy's. Like I love their like company. I don't want to say company. It's a local thing, but like their business. I really love it. And it's all they're in Midtown. So it's, Midtowny, and they're all very nice and calm. And it's like a very peaceful place. And you're just baking. And
when she says Midtowny, she means like the people in Midtown Memphis are very trendy. They're very friendly and very, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
It's hard to explain. They're really colorful people.
Colorful is a great way to put it. Yeah.
And I really love that community and what they have. And yeah. So anyway, that was my number one. I just really enjoyed it, and I want to do some more this coming year.
Well, you downplayed it at the beginning, saying that it's not that special. Well, that is special to you.
Yeah, but it's not like, okay, I don't think I downplayed it.
Well, this isn't going to change the trajectory of your life, maybe.
Right. I'm not like, this isn't helping me form life goals.
But it was really nice, and if I can be honest, I would not have even guessed that a little bit. So I had no idea that it was that special to you.
Yeah.
So that's great. I'm happy to hear that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have thought that.
It was so much fun. I've made that stuff several times throughout the year, and I love it.
I've always reaped the benefits of it. I've always tasted it.
Yeah.
It's really yummy. So I have some honorable mentions that I thought I would just throw out really quick.
I have a couple too, so we can do those fast.
Do you want to go back and forth?
If you want. That's fine.
I thought it might be fun.
Yeah.
All right. These are in no particular order. So really quickly, and by the way, while we're coming up with these, I don't know why my voice got these. While we're coming up with these.
Weirdo.
Well, we actually already have them. Feel free to come up with your own. We'd love to hear them.
Yeah.
You can let us know right here. If you're listening on YouTube, put them in the comments. Twitter, Instagram, on any post, because we usually make a little promotional post about these with our little cartoon characters. Let us know if you have some favorite moments. We'd love to hear them.
Yeah, we would. Absolutely.
So here are honorable mentions. So my first one, this is super vague, but I feel the fall season. I feel like you and I together had a really good fall.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like a really good autumn. We spent time together. We did a lot of fun things. We went to the pumpkin house. We made the pumpkins. We told that story. But it was like I felt like I was really in the fall spirit, and that, for me personally, that's very important.
Yeah.
What's your first one?
They're in no particular order.
That's fine.
My mom and I got a tattoo together, so that was fun.
You did. And that's a meaningful tattoo.
Yep.
My next one is Christmas time.
Oh my gosh.
I like the holiday stuff, I think, a little more than Steph does, and that's okay. I just put on my notes the Christmas season because always. We're recording this a little over a week past the first of the year, and I still have my trees up.
Yeah.
I love Christmas.
I know.
As opposed to Steph, her tree went down literally like the 1st of January. Or maybe the 31st. I think it was the 1st.
Yeah.
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 Gone.
Yeah.
Not me.
My next one is our trip to the Dixon Gardens for the tulips.
I should have put that in my mention. I almost did. I remember thinking about that.
That was a lot of fun.
That was
like a
trip.
happy time.
That was also a little context I think is needed, because that was also one of our first trips that we took when I was completely recovered from my injury.
Yeah.
I could walk completely. I didn't have a cane or anything like that. And like we were finally kind of getting back to just normal life again.
Yeah.
That was at the very beginning of spring.
That was like in April, I think.
Yeah. Well, then I guess it was a little bit after my recovery then.
Yeah, but I don't think we really went and did anything since.
Just because we were busy, I guess, for one reason or another. My next one is working on songs from Sangamon Street. So it started at the beginning of the year, actually, believe it or not, but then I really started doing some heavy work at the end of the year for my album Songs from Sangamon Street. I believe it's going to be out in just a few days after you're listening to this, if you're listening to it as it just comes out. So Songs from Sangamon Street, January 27th, my first full-length album. It would mean a whole lot if you listen to it. You can get it on Spotify, Apple Music. There's also going to be a physical release coming soon as well, so if you like physical, you can get that as well on CD. But check it out. That would mean a whole lot because it's very special to me. And Steph is going to be credited as a producer because of that moment.
Oh.
It's true.
That you didn't include in your honorables mention.
All right, next.
I went to Houston to speak at a Society of Women Engineers conference.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, and that was a lot of fun.
I was really proud of her for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was. I went to the conference and attended the conference, and then had a time slot where I had to speak. So, to give like a presentation over something that I had submitted. So, anyway, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that whole thing because we walked around and explored a little bit of Houston too. And
you went to Texas a lot this year.
Twice.
3 times. Galveston.
3 times. Oh my gosh, I did, didn't I? Yeah. So. Yeah.
All right. My next one is, in my final one. I did this for a short while in the fall season. I did my Monday night show watching with a couple friends.
Yeah.
So we did this every Monday night for the entire first season of the show House of the Dragon, which is like a prequel show to Game of Thrones. So me and a few other friends, we all just got together every Monday night and watched it. And we would get food and we'd talk about it afterwards. And it was fun to have that like camaraderie about a show. And I'll kind of have, it's kind of like when you and I, like with our show, we talk about it. You have a common thing to talk about every time, like what's going to happen, whatever. So we would do that, and it's a lot of fun. But we're going to pick that back up again this year soon, once my album's completely done. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That's my final one. What about you?
I have 2 more, but I can kind of combine them.
You're fine. Go ahead.
Photography, just some of the gigs that I had. I looked back. I didn't really post a lot on social media at all in 2022. I'm so bad at social media. But I really liked, and I think a lot of those pictures turned out really well. So I was really happy with the jobs that I did get in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of slowed down after May too, because there was an accident,
and
during,
that's all right.
So I just kind of sort of slowed down and just took a step back and
well, you kind of, it feels like you're easing into it again though, like because you had a gig near the end of the year, and
and I actually have more headshots, a gig for headshots at the end of this month. So
I'm glad you're still working on that.
Yeah, so I've kind of been doing mostly like corporate like headshots and things lately. So,
hey, gig's a gig.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. And then macrame stuff. I've really learned a lot about how to make, if you don't know what macrame is, it's like that art made out of string, and like wall hangings and plant hangers and
You've seen it. Yeah.
keychains. Yeah. All the things. So I really learned a lot though. Like and my friend Ashley commissioned me to make this huge like wall hanging with a shelf on it. And I pretty much made it up. Like she gave me I wanted to look kind of like this, and I made it up, and I dyed it ombre and put the shelf on it. And anyway, it took me like several months to make just because it was so big. And then I've had a couple small little things that like family members have wanted me to make for them. And then I taught that class when I was visiting Ashley on like how to make some different kinds of keychains and stuff. And I've been considering. I was in one of the like suburbs. There's a fair in the first weekend of May, and I wanted to open a booth for macrame stuff, but it's on the same weekend as the Taylor Swift concert that we're going to. So I'm not going to do that. So that's why I'm thinking about the Etsy shop. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm enjoying it enough, like making it in my free time, that once I can maybe build up enough of like a stock, then I can just sell it in the store.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of the business
I have to wait until I'm for sure I'm going to do it, and then I'll announce it.
I was hoping you would come through with it at the end here.
No.
Cliffhanger. She'll let us know next week.
I'll announce it if I decide to do it. So, but those are some of my other things, like just artsy things where I feel like I've grown and learned new things throughout the year.
So just a quick, not a lot of thought. Should it be out of 10 or out of 5? Out of 10. So you have a little more leeway. What would you rate your specific 2022?
But 1 to 10?
1 to 10, yeah. Nothing right or wrong here. I'm just curious.
I don't know. Maybe an 8.
That's really good.
7.5, 8.
That's really good.
What about you?
I was thinking 8.
8.
Mine would have been probably a 7, a solid, strong 7, if it weren't for my number 1. But having that sense of direction going forward into 2023 for kind of my life in certain ways brought it up to an 8. Maybe even 8.5. But it was a really good year. We didn't do this the year before we did the podcast starting in 2021. But because I would have put that, it was a good year too, but I probably would have put that closer to about a 7. So yeah, that's good though. 8, that's awesome.
Well, I 7. I really 7 to 8 in between.
So 7.5. Say that.
Yeah,
that works. Let us know let us know in the comments if you had to rate your year.
Yeah.
Tell us that. What's your rating between 1 and 10? Just say my year is a 7. Or maybe it's a 6. Maybe it's a 9. Maybe it's a 10. If it is, let us know why. We'd love to know.
Yeah, we definitely would. Well, I guess that's going to be it.
She said my line. That's going to be it.
So thank you all very much for listening. We need to pick.
We do need to pick. We need to spin the wheel really quick.
So thank you for listening to us. And now we're going into the next segment where we will spin the wheel.
Sorry, my iPad was freaking out. I accidentally got Siri to go for some reason. I don't know why Siri started listening. It freaked me out. So once again, just as a little recap, if you're new to the show, we randomly pull from a hat. We spin a wheel, pull from a hat, whatever you want to call it. And that's how I pick the next topic. And the topics are decided by you. So please, anywhere you can communicate with us, let us know what other top 5s you'd like it to be.
Yes, please. Because we need some more to throw in there.
It can be specific, like it could be your top 5 favorite car brands, whatever. Or it could be kind of more open, like one time we did our top 5 favorite sayings from our parents / grandparents.
Yeah,
it could be anything.
That was a fun one.
Get creative. That goes a long way with us, and we'll give you a little shout out if you'd like at the next episode that we do it on. Okay. Go ahead. Give me the drum roll. Top 5 strategies to get out of talking to someone.
Oh, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, that's going to be really fun, actually. Being an introvert, I've got my strategies. So I'm curious to hear what yours are, too.
I do, too, but they don't work a lot of the time.
Neither do mine. I guess we're going to find that out next time.
That'll be fun. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, then, for listening. we're excited to share our top fives on how to get out of talking to people.
And sharing your top 5 for the rest of 2023.
Yes. So
New year.
please do let us know how you rank your year. And I guess that's going to be it. So we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Bye.